So this is the derivation of the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is great, but it's kind of a generic isolated tool. That's what it is. It's a tool for a specific event. The completing the square technique is something I've kind of gotten away from the last couple of years. It's something I'm going to go back to pushing a lot harder because it's a very versatile method of solving quadratics. And it has its place in the conic sections, and it's just a much better tool. But anyways, apparently somebody decided that completing the square was too rough, so they came up with the quadratic formula, and it was done, at least I believe it was done, by completing the square on standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c. And I've got the steps over here off the side that I teach. This is how I teach to complete the square. First thing is we move the constant to the right-hand side. So that's an easy move. Most kids get that right. Some kids struggle with what the constant is. With jump equality, we change our sign. The next step, step 2, is to divide all terms by a. So we're going to divide everything by an a. And this is where it gets kind of funny. A lot of kids struggle with what's actually going on here. Now, step 3 here is to find b over 2. Now, this is the b term right there. The b piece is b over a. It was just kind of funny to say it that way. We're supposed to take that piece and we're supposed to divide it by 2. And if you do division by 2, division happens in the denominator. So we're supposed to find b over 2, and that's going to be b over twice a, b over 2, and we're supposed to square it. And if we square it, we'll have b squared over 2 squared is 4, and a squared is a squared. And we're supposed to add that to both sides, because if you add something to the left, you have to add it to the right. That's how you maintain your balance. So let's see what this looks like now. I'm going to write that as b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. So this thing got really hideous, didn't it? Like, it's scary to the average junior. And it's probably scary to people at a higher level than that. It's just kind of funny. One thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put these pieces together. In order to add or subtract fractions, I believe you have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to introduce the 4 here, and I'm going to introduce an a here, because that'll make that piece 4a squared. So a times a is a squared, so that makes it a squared. And if I introduce it to the denominator, I have to introduce it to the numerator. So I introduced a 4 and an a. And it's kind of looking like the quadratic formula, if you know the quadratic formula, by the way. It's getting there. All right, the right-hand side becomes b squared minus 4ac, both pieces, over 4a squared. Interesting looking, isn't it? Now, we're at step 4. Factor the left-hand side as a perfect square using b over 2a. Or sorry, using b over 2. And remember, this piece right here, this was b over 2. And that's the cool thing about the complete the square technique, is how it makes factoring easy if you know what b over 2 is. So, believe it or not, this thing right here factors perfectly as x plus b over twice a all squared. It's kind of cool how that works. Next move is to counteract the squaring operation, and the opposite of squaring has always been square rooting. I don't foresee that changing. Some kids never quite figure out algebra. It's amazing. But anyways, the opposite of a squaring step is the square root. Now we had a 2 here, so we're going to have to introduce the plus or minus symbol. We're going to leave the numerator alone. That's going to stay b squared minus 4ac. Focusing on the denominator, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is a. And we have x plus b over twice a equals plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And the next and last move here is to isolate the x. So all we have to do to isolate the x is we have to move this stuff over. And we get a line that's starting to look very, very familiar. If we move positive b over twice a to the right-hand side, it's become negative b over twice a. Then we have the plus or minus symbol, square root, b squared minus 4ac, also over 2a. And remember that we can add or subtract fractions if they have a common denominator. That's the rule. So these two pieces can be put together, and we get this guy. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that, boys and girls, is the quadratic formula. Maybe you liked that, maybe you didn't. I hope you enjoyed it.